Hello guys, and welcome to this EC Aquatics video. In this video, we're going to be setting up a center island heavy hardscape style aquarium. So this is a standard Aquarium 20-gallon tall aquarium, and it is 2 feet long, 1 foot wide, and 17 inches tall. So the first order of business is to add our nutrient layer. And to create this layer, I have filled these mesh bags with Aquasoil. And I will pop up a link to a short video that I did explaining how to do this. So we're just going to add this into the areas that we are going to be planting. So next we're going to add our sand, and we're going to be using this Sacrete play sand, and it is a really cheap and really nice looking sand. It's not specifically marketed for aquariums, which makes it cheap, but it is completely inert and safe to use in aquariums, and I've used this in many other tanks and never had issues with it. And it's this nice more yellowy color, and it's got different sort of grain sizes, and it's a really good, nice, and very cheap sand. This 50-pound bag cost me about, I think, $8 to $10 at Home Depot. So very, very cheap, much cheaper than regular aquarium sand, and just as good, in my opinion. So next we're gonna add in our driftwood, and I am using a whole bunch of Malasyan Bogwood, and this stuff is really nice. It's really dense and heavy, and the dark color will contrast really nicely with our light sand. And I'm going to build this up into a big center island that I'm going to plant around and put rocks around and stuff like that. That took almost no time at all to get a decent scape, and there's 3 pieces of Malasyan Bogwood that are all lined up, and they sort of look like one piece. And now we're going to add the stones that we're going to be using, which are dragonstone, which looks like this. We're going to chip it up into smaller bits and place it around the edges of this massive woodscape that we have. The beauty of dragonstone is that it breaks really, really easily. So you only have to buy 1 or 2 big sort of pieces, and then you can take a hammer to it, so you can get a whole bunch of smaller little bits, as well as rocks that are smaller that are the ones that have in there. And these little bits I'm just going to take and scatter in between the bigger rocks and the wood, just to sort of add sort of another layer of interest in the tank. I'm just going to toss them in, just sort of let them fall where they might, just sort of like aim them a little bit, but wherever they decide to rest is where they end up, sort of like that. And now you have a whole bunch of detail stone. I could go in there and adjust a little bit if I want. Bring some stuff further back, closer to the scape, like that. But yeah, sort of something like that. And I think our hardscape is all complete. So there it is, close up, and it's all its glory. Whole bunch of little dragonstone bits along the front, and then our massive bit of driftwood. And even though that now this wood is dense and I don't think it'll float, I'd rather not risk it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some cyanoacrylate superglue gel, and I am going to lock down a whole bunch of points of contact between the pieces of driftwood and the rocks. So the rocks definitely won't float, so hopefully this will keep everything locked down, and when I fill up the tank, I don't end up without a scape. Alrighty, now we're gonna let the glue set overnight, and then we'll come back to this thing tomorrow, and then we'll start our planting process. So it has actually been about a week since I set up the hardscape to this tank, and I've just been waiting for my plants to arrive. So, and they have. So we're gonna now plant the tank. So the first plant that we're going to be adding in is Java Fern, and we're going to glue that right down onto the lower section of our driftwood as sort of like a nice focal epiphyte plant. And the way we plant epiphytes is we don't plant them into the soil, but we can take this Gorilla Glue, cyanoacrylate super glue gel, and then we're gonna put a couple dollops down and hold the Java Fern down for about 10 seconds. Now that should theoretically be nice and planted, and it should. So now we're gonna add in our other epiphyte plants. And right here I've got a little bit of Anubias, Nana Petite, and a couple different types of Bucephalandra, and I'll pop up what names they are on the screen. I don't remember exactly which types they are, but their care is the same. They're all epiphyte plants, and we're gonna glue them down onto different parts of the wood. Next, we're going to be adding our foreground plants, and we're going to be using Blyxa Japonica and S. Repens in the foreground. And these are both going to grow bushy, and they'll spread a little bit, but not all that much, and they'll just provide nice little tufts of green in the foreground of our tank. Now to the midground, we're going to add in a couple of crypts, and these are Crypt Petchii and Crypt Petchii. They're both very, very similar to each other, and they're both going to look really good in the midground of the tank. Now we are going to add in a couple of swords into the background. So we've got an Amazon sword, and we've also got a red Rubin sword, and we're going to add them obviously to the background of the tank. So now we're going to add in some Hydrocotle Japan, and in the middle of this hardscape, I'll put an arrow to where I'm talking about. There is actually a hole that goes down, and there's substrate on the bottom of it. So we're going to plant that into that hole, and it's going to sort of start peeking out and creeping all up into the hardscape. Now, the last plant that we're going to add is this big bunch of Rotala Indica that I have, and I'm just going to drop that somewhere in the background of the tank. So now we're all planted. Let me bring you on closer. You can really see how the planting is sort of just an accent to the big hardscape. I really didn't want to take away from it by planting too much, especially adding too many epiphyte plants on the hardscape. I think this adds a really nice touch of color, and it almost looks like a little desert type setup that you might set up for like a bearded dragon or something like that. But now we're gonna fill up the tank with water. Alrighty, so our tank is now fully filled up, and surprisingly nothing has floated up. No little bits of driftwood or plants have loosened up, which is wonderful. And now to get the plants going, we're going to add some EPI leaf zone, and this is just a regular aquarium plant fertilizer that goes into the water column, and this should, while there's no fish in there producing any waste, this should help the plants get established and be able to pull nutrients from the water column and start growing. And a 20-gallon tank uses 10 mils or one full capful of this little bottle. And I'm just gonna add in a little bit more just for some luck. And the tank is actually surprisingly quite clear. I really didn't expect it to be this clear because of the fact that I didn't wash any of my sand or my rocks or anything like that, and they were all very dusty. But I guess when I filled it up, it hasn't gotten dusty yet, so there's no need to add in any like AccuClear or any other liquid like that to clear up the tank, because the tank looks really nice and clear already. I'm not going to be adding fish today, but if you want to see me add them, then be sure to be subscribed down below and turn on that post notification bell. You should see that video come out next week, probably next Saturday, after you see this video. So whenever that ends up being, however long that takes me to edit this and put this thing out. But that should be next week for you guys, so definitely stay tuned for that. But this is it sort of for now. Our tank looks really, really good. I'm very happy with the way it sort of turned out. I think it looks absolutely amazing with this really big hardscape and the little accented plants. But yeah, so thank you guys for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, then be sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons, and I will see you all in the next one.